Okay, my name is Eric, and I'm an alcoholic. And I love the doctor's opinion. When I first came into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, I walked into Open AA, and where I got sober, it was all 12 and 12 meetings. Nothing against the 12 and 12. I'm not going to bash on the 12 and 12, but I wasn't hearing a whole lot about the solution. I wasn't learning about the physical allergy, the mental obsession, and I didn't know what I was dealing with. I was being told simply just don't drink and go to meetings. And if I didn't drink today, I would be a winner. I was told, you got to just clean up your act. I mean, we've all heard a lot of these different things that get tossed around in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I did my level best with all of those things. I knocked myself out trying to do those things, and it failed me. Ultimately, what happened was I went back out and I drank again, and then I made it back into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. And what did I do? I doubled down on those very same efforts. Those same efforts, I doubled down on them, hoping that this time, if only I asserted myself more, then this time it would work. And this is what happened. I ended up spending a lot of time in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. I ended up sharing, I ended up regurgitating a lot of the garbage. I joined groups. I set up meetings. I did all of these things, but my life just continued to fall apart no matter what I did, right? No matter what I did, my life just continued to fall apart. And I didn't even know what was going on and what was wrong with me. I sat in these rooms. I heard people say how wonderful things were, how great things were going for them. And I thought to myself, I've got something extra wrong with me, man. I am in serious trouble here. And I was scared to tell anybody about what was going on. I didn't want to tell you that I was suicidal. I didn't want to tell you that I was homicidal. I didn't want to tell you that I was jealous of you. I didn't want to tell you that I didn't want you to look me in the eyes because I knew you could see right through me and just see how ugly of a person I am and what a loser I am. I didn't want to tell you any of that. I didn't want to tell you the way that I was behaving outside of the meetings. I didn't want to tell you any of that stuff, right? I was scared to do that. I was scared because I wasn't hearing anybody else doing that. And I had no clue what the heck was wrong with me. It wasn't until a number of years sitting in the rooms going through that I arrived at a point where I was truly in the darkest state of hopelessness, sitting in these rooms, thinking that there was no solution for me whatsoever. And it was on about a week after the day that I made a decision that truly made a decision, a solid decision to commit suicide. I did attempt to follow through with it. It failed. God intervened, thank God. But it was about a week after that, this guy walks into my life. And I'm going to tell you guys, some of you guys have heard this story before, some of you haven't, so I'm going to share it again. This guy walks into my life. He's got a shaved head like mine. But he shaves it all the way down, and he leaves a tuft of hair right here in the front. It's about 6 inches long. He molds it into a rhino horn with moose, and it is rainbow colored. Now, today, you see people walking around like that. You don't think twice. It's common. You could see it on the floor of Congress, right? That's the way that it is today. Back then in the late 80s, early 90s, he stuck out like a sore thumb. And I thought he was a transient homeless dude. And then when he showed up in a meeting, I thought he was going to steal the basket. But he didn't do that. What he did was he shared a message of depth and weight. And the way he introduced himself grabbed me. He said, "My name is Tommy, and I'm a recovered alcoholic. I've recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body as the result of this process, going through these 12 steps exactly as they're laid out in this book." And it was in that instant I knew I needed to work with that man. I knew that I needed to work with that man. And I approached him after the meeting and I asked him if he would take me through the process. And he said it would be his honor. I don't have enough time to tell you about the resentment that created, but I got to tell you, I thought that was some smug garbage to say to somebody, your honor. I wanted to deck him when I heard that. But he's on the other side. He's recovered. He knows what's going on. He's having a different experience. I'm still in the darkness. I'm in the woods, man. So I don't want to hear this honor garbage, right? So I get to his house the next day because he told me to come there. And I come and I left my big book in the car. And he asked me, he says, "Where's your big book?" I said, "Well, I left it in the car." He said, "Well, why'd you leave it in the car? Would you go to a bar? Would you leave your wallet in the car?" And I said, "No, because when you come to my house, don't leave your big book in the car, man." I said, "Okay." I'm like, this dude is really sensitive and really uptight. So I walk back to the car and I'm thinking, I don't think this is going to work out. And I hand him my big book. And the reason I handed it to him because he had his hand extended. He wanted it. And this is what he does. And this was my experience. I'm not saying anybody else should have this experience or do this. This is just what happened with me and my sponsor. He opens up, it's a third edition. He opens up to page 449. Acceptance is the answer to all of your problems, right? And this is what he does. He takes that page and he rips it right out of the book. He crumbles it up and he throws it on the floor. And he said, acceptance is not the answer to all of your problems. He said, gaining access to a power greater than yourself, which will solve your problem. is the answer to all of your problems. Can you accept that? And I said that I could. And he said, good, come on in. Went in, we sat down on the couch, and we started with the doctor's opinion. And we got right in it. And this is what I learned. And I didn't know these things before. I didn't know that I had this phenomenon of craving. I did not know that I have an allergy to alcohol. This explained a lot of things for me because the very first time I drank, it started off with just not the first time. Let me correct it. The first time I was able to drink with abandon, without a mother or father, hawking over me. I was able to drink with complete abandon. This is what happened. I started to drink vodka and orange juice. Then I mixed in warm Michelob that I found in the garage in the middle of August. That garage was about 120 degrees, so that Michelob was nasty. I mixed that with the vodka and orange juice, and this is what happened. Within a very short period of time, I was transformed from a guy that felt less than and inadequate, stupid, ugly, and with zero hope. I stepped over into a completely different region of life and thinking and experience that I never knew could even exist. And I became a guy that was tall, I was intelligent, I was good looking, I was charismatic, I could talk, I could fight like Mike Tyson. I wasn't afraid of you, and I had hope for the very first time. And I said out loud, I need alcohol every single day of my life. I was 10 years old when that happened, and my life took off like a rocket, right? And it wasn't a rocket that went into into the stratosphere. It's a rocket that soon turned and crashed and burned, right? But that's how it went. And that evening, I continued to drink, and it was in very short period of time where I'm sitting there talking to my buddy Mike, and there's two mics, and then there's three mics, and then there's four mics, and everything's starting to spin. I'm blacking out, I'm passing out, projectile vomiting, so on and so on. I come to, and I had sworn off in the middle of that. I swore, I begged God, if you take this from me, I'll never do it again. I will never, ever, ever do it again. But this is what happened. Within a very short period of time after that, about 48 hours, I went through everything and I realized that if I never mixed warm Michelob in with fruit juice, I would have never gotten ill. None of that would have ever happened. I wouldn't have passed out. I wouldn't have blacked out. And I am now capable. I can drink provided I don't do that. I will totally avoid having that experience again. And what's going on is that's that insane thought in my mind that is completely rationalizing, dragging me right back to the drink. And 48 hours after that, guess what? No Michelob, no vodka, no orange juice. It was Jack Daniels, and I am vomiting 10 feet straight in the air, right? Absolute disaster. And I repeat this over and over and over again. Then I come into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and I'm told, just don't drink. And that makes sense. It sounds like a solution. But my problem is you can find it back here in the earlier part of the doctor's opinion. I'm maladjusted to life. I am an outright mental defect, man. My life is unmanageable. I can't pull this deal off. I need all of you to fall in the line, read my script early in the morning, get on the same page as me, behave in a certain way, treat me a certain way. I need everybody in the world to see. You got to set me. I need a parade just to feel normal, guys. You understand what I'm talking about? I need fireworks for me to say, okay, they like me, right? That's what I need, right? But nobody's going to do that. Nobody can do that. And it's not sustainable. So ultimately, what happens is that I end up in that position where it talks about here, where it says, I'm irritable, restless, and discontented. Man, I came out of the womb irritable, restless, and discontented. I needed that drink. And now here I am sitting in the rooms, not drinking, going to meetings, following the suggestions, and I'm irritable, restless, and discontented again. And I don't know what to do. I don't have an answer. But here over on XXIX, Silkworth says, on the other hand, and as strange as this may seem to those who do not understand, once the psychic change has occurred, the very same person who seemed doomed, who had so many problems he despaired of ever solving them, suddenly finds himself easily able to control his desire for alcohol, the only effort necessary being that required to follow a few simple rules. Now I'm going to jump just a little bit forward when I tell you this, but this is a reference to step 10. What they're talking about is being restored to sanity. In step 10, it tells us that the psychic change has occurred. We've been restored to sanity. I will recoil from alcohol as I would from a hot flame. So what this is implying is that if I take the first step, second step, all the way straight up to the 10th step, and I've been honest and thorough through all of this, I will experience this psychic change. I will gain access to a power greater than myself, which will remove the problem, not help me, but remove it, right? That obsession, that insanity simply has been removed. I do not suffer from that anymore, provided I stay in fit spiritual condition. My time is almost up. I want to be quiet, and I'm going to kick it over to Mary Margaret.
Hello, family. I'm Mary Margaret. I'm an alcoholic. Thank you, Eric. That was fabulous. And boy, do I love the doctor's opinion. I love Dr. Silkworth. Why? Because he loved me. I wasn't even here and he loved me. Like that man, eh, mm, he loved us, you guys. He worked with like 51,000 alcoholics and he wasn't an alcoholic. He was like he was a psychiatrist, but he had trained in neuro something. But it had to do with nerve development. And he needed a job and he ended up at Towns Hospital. And he worked with so many of us that, if he knew how to deal with an alcoholic, if anybody knew how to deal with an alcoholic, it would have been him. Thank you, Jen. Neuropsychology. Thank you. Um, but when I first got here, I was at rehab and they had AA come in and my first day, one of the women there that was already there a little bit ahead of me, she was like, "You don't have to live like this anymore." I didn't know what that meant. Like I didn't know what an alcoholic was besides somebody living under a bridge with a brown paper bag. Like I didn't know it was people like us. I just didn't know. And so I would not say, "Hi, I'm Mary Margaret, I'm an alcoholic." I I just wouldn't say it. I'd just say, "Hi, I'm Mary Margaret." And I felt this pressure on me, and but I was there to listen and be the number one attendee, the number one student on the front row, taking my notes and doing all of that stuff, right? But when I was presented this information in the doctor's opinion, my hopelessness quickly went away. This doctor's opinion gave me so much hope, even though it says I'm doomed. It gave me hope because this gave me an answer to what in the world was wrong with me. Even if it was me having to admit that I was an alcoholic, at least I had a tangible answer. Okay, there's something wrong inside of my body that I can't do anything about. I've crossed over this invisible line that I do not understand. But that's what this doctor in this book is telling me. Because where do I go when I have something wrong with me? I go to the doctor. Well, I've been going to the doctor, but I've been lying. I've been lying. I've been lying to everybody. But now I'm in this rehab place and I'm being honest. Boy, they questioned me and questioned me and questioned me for like 10 hours the first day. I retold my story like 8 times. I was exhausted. I would have told them anything they wanted to know at that point. Just let me go to sleep. I was, detoxing, withdrawing, just let me go to sleep. I'll tell you what you want to know. And so when this doctor had all this information in these pages about what was wrong with me, oh man, was I relieved and so full of hope to know that like there there was not a cure for me, but I could get better. I didn't have to live in a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body anymore. Oh my gosh, I have chills right now just remembering. And as I learned about this and realized that when I took a drink, my body um metabolized it different and the alcohol turned to acetone and acetone craves more acetone. And that's why I would say, oh, I am just going to go to the Mexican food restaurant with my girlfriends and have two drinks. Well, at 2 a.m., when I'm being toted home by whoever, and I've had, you know, 15 drinks and I can't walk. That's why that happens. And then they told me that the word craving in here is a little different according to the big book. And that if I don't want to crave, according to the big book, just don't put it in my body. Oh, that's why I can't take that first drink. And it talks about this all throughout the doctor's opinion on multiple occasions. And and it talks about like I have to have a clear brain if I want to understand what's in this magical book. I thought this book was like full of magic, the way they were talking about it in my program. And at the bottom of page XXVI, it talks about it's imperative that a man's brain be cleared before he's approached. And then on let me see where else. On XXVIII, it says these allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form at all. And I saw that in the big book because I went straight back to my room, and of course I couldn't go to sleep because I was overtired like an infant. And they said they said if you can't sleep, get the big book out. So I said, oh, okay, I'll get that book out. And I started reading it, and I saw this line, can never safely use alcohol in any form at all. Well, I didn't really understand that. Any form at all, what does that mean? Like alcohol's alcohol. So the next day I asked my therapist, what does this mean? And she related it to like some people use marijuana, some, other outside issues. I said, oh, that makes sense. Okay. And then on page XXVII, it talks about it again. Let me see. Maybe I skipped one. Yeah, I did. XXVII. Of course, an alcoholic ought to be freed from his physical craving for liquor, and this often requires a definite hospital procedure. And, it talks about it there. Like, the bottom line is, I can't put this in my body at all. Abstinence. And so once I learned that, I was like, oh, okay. This party's on. I can't put this in my body at all. Any of it. And that was it. That was it for me. That party was over. Like I did still have cravings a little bit. And so I prayed. I went straight to whatever it was. I knew it wasn't me because they told me it can't be you. They mentioned a doorknob and they said it can't be you. And so I just said, please give me the willingness to be willing. And I'm telling you, in the matter of a few days, the craving, that the obsession was that it was gone. It was just gone. And it's because I just followed the directions. Step one is all about understanding my illness and admitting the powerlessness of it. Because the instant I forget that I'm powerless, my life is unmanageable. It's over. Like I'm a pinball machine up here. And I don't know what to do. Like I'm fighting with myself again. And I'm back to trying to play God. And so I am like so incredibly grateful for this little white-haired, blue-eyed doctor that has, I mean, I know God sent him here to help all of us. I know he was, divinely inspired to be here for us. So thank you all for being here tonight. I love each and every one of you. Thank you, Eric. Mwah.
Yeah, you got it, Mary Margaret. Thank you. Derek, come on in here, brother.
All right, Derek Alcoholic, what up, my people? What up, y'all? Y5, Y5, Y5. Man, the doctor's opinion, and I know there was a lot read tonight, and I know there were some things that we hit on and tapped on, and that's why we need y'all. That's why we need, this is a study collectively. We do this thing together. Yeah, I want to hit on two things I believe that echo throughout the book. And one is on who Mary Margaret covered masterfully. It's we believe, as so suggested a few years ago, that the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy, that the phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate drinker. These allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form, and once forming the habit and found they cannot break it. Once having lost their self-confidence, the self-reliance upon things, the reliance upon human things, their problems pile up and become astonishingly difficult to solve. The essence of the first step right there. To me, Silky wrote the first step right there in that paragraph. Powerless over it. Powerless over it. You know, the allergy, and it never occurs in people, normal temperate drinkers, and life unmanageable. Right there in that paragraph, their reliance upon human things, their problems pile up on them and become difficult to solve. I try to pride myself in taking care of myself. Y'all too? Do you too? And I say that in the sense of, it would be difficult for me to understand that I have something called a medical condition. But that's exactly what I have. Y'all realize that too? We have a medical condition. It's called alcoholism. It's a medical condition, just like diabetes, cancer. Gosh, and how my mind forgets that is amazing. You know, I want to talk about the spiritual malady. Yeah, I want to get to that, but let's look at the medical condition we walking around here forgetting that we got every day, all day, 24/7. A medical condition. And the doctor says with the medical condition we have, they have no, let me say it, let me read it like he says. He says, oh, my bad. On Roman numeral, the doctor says, faced with this problem, a doctor is honest with himself. He must feel his own inadequacy. Hopeless. Hopeless. The doctor is hopeless and helpless to our medical condition. They can't do anything. So only thing they can suggest is don't put it in your body. Total abstinence. That's the only thing they say. If I was you, I would not drink alcohol ever, 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 ever again in your life. Which brings them to that pro and that con. And ultimately, the opinion is doomed. God, dog. What a medical condition. What a medical condition. The other, look, the obsession. Here we go. I'm trying to run through this real quick. Real quick. Okay. Men and women drink essentially because the effects produced by alcohol. That paragraph there echoes throughout the big book. It shows up in so many different sections of our literature, and it speaks to the first step, powerless over alcohol, life unmanageable, and it even throws a little 12-step stuff in there. You know what I'm saying? It throws the solution a little bit in there, the psychic change, the spiritual awakening, what the solution is. I'll say this, and I'm gonna be quiet. I respect all y'all anonymity. It's probably a couple of people in here, several people actually, that I know your first and last name, right? Right. Most people we just know their name and their initial. But Silky put his neck out on the line and put his whole name in this book. It's rare you're gonna see somebody's whole name, they whole name in this book. And Silky put his whole name in this book. Why? Because as in the solution, he says, they became sold on the content that's in this book. This doctor believed in this book. This doctor saw something happen when an alcoholic went through the process in this book. He saw something happen that he could not explain. Something that blew his mind, blew his medical mind so much that he did what men in this book did not do due to anonymity reasons. Put his whole name in the thing. His mama gave him that name. Anyway, still learning to be humble. Try to stay teachable, man. I love y'all. Thanks for letting me share.
Derek, thank you so much. Mary Margaret, thank you so much. There's just one thing that I just want to add to this, if I may, is the idea of the abstinence that they're talking about. They're talking specifically about the phenomenon of craving, not about alcoholism on a whole. Is that the only thing that we can suggest to avoid triggering the phenomenon of craving is complete abstinence. But then in the next paragraph, it says this immediately precipitates us into a seething cauldron of debate. And it goes on, it says, because the chronic alcoholic, we believe the chronic alcoholic is doomed because the main problem for the alcoholic centers in the mind, not in the body. That there's something that's going to continue to bring us back to that. I just wanted to put that out there. Guys, all right, we're going to open up this meeting now for shares. Typically, the way that we're doing it is we're going to be calling on people, but we got hands going up. So we're going to start with hands, and then we're going to call on people. If there aren't hands, we're going to call on you. Please feel free to throw a hand up at any point in time. And we're going to roll like that. Jen W., come on in.
Hello, I am Jen W. and I am still an alcoholic and I will always be. So this doctor's opinion is incredibly helpful for me because I've been a nurse for a couple of years, times 3 decades. So my fascination with medicine and the nursing, medical field, nursing field, even psychology, psychiatry. My nursing program, one of whom which you here in the room know where I went now because you went there too. My nursing program focused very heavily on psychology, and because they did that, so a couple of nurses went on. They went and got their double major in psych, and then many got a minor. And actually, I think, as I continue to recover through alcoholism and get my life back into order, I think I'm going to go back for a second major and do that as well. Not to mention my son is in medical school or pre-med, and he's got a focus in neuroscience. So the whole topic of this letter that the doctor wrote is incredibly fascinating to me, because my mind works in the scientific realm than it does, in literary or other realms. My first drink was at the age of 11. My first cigarette was at the age of 8, and I first got high at the age of 11. And now walking through this program with this really crazy sponsor that I have, oh my gosh, she's incredible. And she's in this room. And so is my grand sponsor, I found out. But walking through this program made me realize that when my sisters had that party back when I was 11 and my mom was off to work and my dad, was, basically booted out of the house and they got divorced, I guzzled. I didn't just take a sip of this glass of Southern Comfort. I drank this glass of Southern Comfort straight, and I didn't sip it. I literally chugged it like a glass of water. And now walking through this stuff. Oh, is that my timer? Sorry. I'll stop.
All right, no problem. Thanks,
I,
Jen.
I forgot it was 2 minutes. I'm sorry. Anywho, it does affect your health. it affected mine. My liver was bad, and it's not anymore. My skin looks better. I had somebody at my wax place over the weekend tell me that I look
Okay.
incredible. Like, what have I been doing? And then a lady at Kohl's that was talking about alcoholism or alcohol causing cancer. I have to add this, please, just real quick, and I'll stop. The Surgeon General has not updated labels on alcoholic beverages since I believe it was the 1980s sometime. And recent research proves that alcohol causes cancer. So they are actively working on changing the label on all alcoholic beverages to not just include, pregnancy and health conditions and all that. Don't drive impaired, don't drive while impaired. They are putting on the label that alcohol has been proven to cause cancer. So I wrapped all that into 3 minutes. I apologize for hogging the time. Thanks for letting me learn about this meeting.
You're welcome. Jen P, come on in. How are you? Good to see you.
Hey guys, Jen Alcoholic. I'm gonna jump on the back of my fellow nurse over there. I didn't know jack about this stuff, right? Because it says doctor's opinion in here. I'm a nurse. I don't give a fuck what the hell a doctor says. I don't think they know anything. Because I know better. You have no idea like what it's like trying to train them. So I'm like, I'm not reading that. Like I don't give a crap about this. I did not realize that this was a allergy issue, that this was a thing where then that starts this phenomenon of craving, and that that I have a mental obsession. And the spiritual part, I don't even, we're not even talking about that yet, but I had no idea. And being a nurse, I was embarrassed to not have any idea. And I didn't understand addiction. I just thought everybody could just freaking stop. What the hell's wrong with these people? Don't they know? Don't they know they're killing themselves? Yeah, liver cancer, stomach cancer, esophageal cancer. Yes, caused by alcohol. Every single one of your systems in your body and your blood gets affected by alcohol. This is poison that we're drinking. It kills us. It kills you from the inside out. I had no idea that there was a part of this that that you can't stop until it happened to me. And trust me, I have seen some freaking nasty shit, as far as alcoholics, and I have buried them. I mean, I have wrapped them and put them in the morgue myself. Many, 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 many of them, and I drank anyway, guys. I drank anyway, even seeing it firsthand. So thanks for letting me share it, buddy.
You got it, Jen. Thank you. Krista, come on in.
Hi, everybody. Krista Alcoholic. I absolutely love the doctor's opinion. Every time I get an opportunity to dive into these pages, copious note taker. Thank you all. Uh, Eric, Mary Margaret, and Derek. I learn more each time. Um, I didn't I didn't take my drink until like 18 in college. And then I was all of a sudden I wasn't shy anymore. And that was so intoxicating and fun. And this spree lasted until into my 50s and abruptly the DUI. And that's how I got into recovery. And that was uh, a gift, a gift. And so what I was so amazed at when my sponsor showed me these pages and we dove into it and she showed me the slides about how my brain was, our brains are, and versus a non-alcoholic brain, it was finally like, aha, like I understood. Like that's why I've felt so different my whole life. And that's why it progressed. And that's why it turned into acetone. And that's why I just couldn't stop like I could before. And there was so much relief. I wrote that down as I was listening to you all, the aha moment, and how my friends could put it down and they could drink with impunity. I mean, I live on these pages. It's so much truth in this. And I'm just so grateful for Dr. Silkworth. And um, I I think that's just about as much as I wanted to say on it because I really also I couldn't differentiate the truth from the false. But that helped me on my journey because even I too would have like with the allergy, I'd have a red neck, I'd have itchiness, but I would push through it. I don't even dabble to risk my sobriety and to risk the phenomena of craving. I stay far away from that and guard my sobriety. So anyway, thank you all. Grateful to be here.
You're welcome, Krista. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. Brother Lindell, how are you, man?
Great, Eric. Thanks for calling on me. Hey, guys, my name is Lindell, I'm a recovered alcoholic. Wow, man, what a great meeting, and thank everybody for their shares. Um, Mary touched on a point, and it kind of like gave me this aha moment, when she's talking about, the physical craving. I couldn't wrap my head around that when I was new in the rooms because they also use the metaphor, and that's only used in our book as a metaphor. Anybody that's in a medical field that will understand this. And if you really want to understand a little bit more about this, with this physical craving and this phenomenal craving, I downloaded everything AA, and it has Joe and Charlie's tapes on it, and they do an excellent job of describing what this thing is all about. And you're right, it's about my body, like alcohol. Alcoholism. Let me see. Only 10% of the general population, from what I understand, has a problem with their ability to process alcohol properly. The other 80% or 90%, they don't have a problem with it. That's the guy that you see at the bar. He can drink one glass of liquor and nurse it all night because he's got an off switch. His body metabolizes the alcohol in a way that, you know what I mean, he doesn't get drunk. But with me, right, I used to think that, well, it's like the strawberry analogy they give, right? Or the peanut analogies that they give, or the seafood, shellfish analogy that they give. But if you're in the medical field, it took me a while because more gets revealed to understand that it's biologically impossible to develop an internal allergy. It's physically impossible. What happens is my body doesn't break down the formaldehyde and the ethyl alcohol properly, and it turns into acetone. And then the acetone creates more acetone, right? And then there's no off switch. So I can't stop. That's what they talk about. I take the first drink, and then the drink takes the drink, and then the drink takes the man. I just can't stop. And somewhere, that's all my time. Okay.
You're just warming up, Lindell. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Carlo, come on in, pal.
Hi, Carlo, an alcoholic, and yeah, the doctor's opinion is amazing. Like someone else mentioned before, I never realized that I have an obsession, like a mental obsession with alcohol, and I have been visiting a psychiatrist for some time, not because of drinking. We weren't even talking about it, like never. But because of like general anxiety and depressive episodes. But yeah, it I had a hospitalization in September. Yeah, in September, and so I was in this kind of detox unit, and yeah, I was locked up with other guys who were there, and like I knew nothing about what this all of this is, and I still don't know anything. I have 75 days of sobriety. I'm still new to AA, but since thank you, God. Since I came here and as I'm learning, I'm just thinking, why the why the fuck, pardon my French, don't all these psychiatrists and doctors and all these people, why don't they get a big book for themselves and learn something about alcoholism? Because they have very angry and much suffering in these people, and so many of them, and there is a solution, but what they're doing is actually making it even worse. That's been my experience, at least. So thank God that we have AA and the doctor's opinion in the big book. Thank you.
You bet, man. Carlo, 75 days is tremendous, dude. Congratulations on that, man. Stick and stay with us. You got my number. Give me a call, man. Mike and Lisa, hey, come on in.
Hi guys, Lisa, alcoholic. Thank you so much for leading the meeting. You three are amazing. I always get something out of whenever you guys speak. I love the doctor's opinion. There's a few lines in here that always just truly resonate with me. The one of the biggest ones for me when I first came into AA, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, I'm not an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict. Like that's how I felt. That was my story. And then I heard this line in the doctor's opinion. The phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate drinker. And when I heard that, I realized that sometimes I drink alcoholically, and sometimes I drink alcoholically until I end up with cocaine or Oxycontin in my hands. But like, if I wasn't an alcoholic, it would never occur in me. So understanding that really just helped me identify that I was an alcoholic and probably saved me so much havoc I would have wreaked in my life had I just dismissed myself. So thank God for this doctor's opinion. And then, of course, that restless, irritable, and discontented, unless I can then again experience the sense of ease and comfort that I experienced with drugs and alcohol. And I mean, it's like I had this God-sized hole, and I know everybody hears this saying, but I was chasing this high, this thing to make me feel okay. And it wasn't until I finally put down that solution that I found the real solution, which I found through the steps in Alcoholics Anonymous. Thanks for letting me share.
You bet, Lisa. Did Mike want to jump in? No? No? All right, no problem. Going over to Pamela. Hello, Pamela. I'm so glad you're here.
Hello, so good to be here. And I'm here in a fluke because my physical home group, that's where I was driving home from, usually has something to go on afterwards. And I was like, I can't come this week. So I'm glad to be here. Sorry, I can't attend more regularly. But the thing that hit me, and I'm glad for the lady who shared before me. See, I ended up in another fellowship, and I was stuck there because I thought I was a drug addict. See, I'm an alcoholic. What makes me an alcoholic is the allergy in my body. What's the allergy in my body? Like someone mentioned previous to me, normal people drink, and then you give 10 people alcohol, one of them's going to be an alcoholic. You give 10 people drugs, 9 of them are going to be drug addicts. There's something metaphysical that happens in my body. This allergy kicks in. And see, addicts, I spent 20 years over there. I've been paroled from that fellowship. They don't have to do what I have to do. See, I have an allergy in my body. I got an illness in my mind, and I have a spiritual malady. Probably no human power could relieve my alcoholism, but God could and would if we were stuck. Over there, I can go to 90 meetings in 90 days, get not too hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. I can call my sponsor. I can go to the meeting. I can do this. I can do that. And guess what? I will but eventually, my first meeting was 1995. Almost 8 years drank. Almost 5 years drank. This last time, 6 years drank. You think it might be the alcohol? I ain't got no problem with alcohol. Alcohol is a adult beverage. It wasn't until I conceded to my innermost self that I have the mind of a chronic alcoholic. Allergy to the body, illness of the mind. What's the solution? God. And until I can get to that, I can go to 4,000 meetings. I can have 52 sponsors. It don't matter because there's no human power, none, zip, nada, no place that will address my alcoholism. It is only a relationship with God. If you read this book, there's 42 personal stories in the back to tell how each member build a relationship with God. So I'm glad to be here. Sorry, I can't be here all the time because, I love people to talk about the solution. And the solution is outlined in the first 164 pages. I don't give a damn how tired, hungry, and lonely you are. I don't give a trigger is a horse that the Lone Ranger rode. Okay, I am an alcoholic with an allergy in my body, an illness in my mind, and the only solution is God. Thank you for letting me share.
Oh, you bet. That was fire, Pam. Thank you so much. And I do wish that you could make it regularly, but we'll take it when we can get it. So, we're glad you were here tonight. Brother Bill, come on in, man.
Hey, Eric, I had to use my last name. I don't want the wrong Bill to get the bad rap for what I'm about to say. I think this chapter, 85 years later, is fodder. It's information that we throw around in the fellowship that none of us really understand. Einstein's theory of relativity is no different than Silkworth's theory of the phenomenon of craving. It's a theory, and it happened to work, and it happened to sell the book because we had someone with credentials. But I'm going to tell you what, if I got a compound fracture, I'm not going to ask the doctor how the bone break. I'm going to ask him to fix the bone. The reality is either I have the allergy or not, and we run around, and I know God's the answer, but I spend a lot of time with you guys, much more time than I spend with God. And I think what happens is we dummy it down. It's great stuff. You can impress people with that at parties, but it means nothing if I put the first drink inside of me. So the problem ultimately does center in the mind. It's the obsession. People don't ask why they're allergic to bananas. They just don't eat bananas. I don't ask why I'm allergic to alcohol, yet I know I am, and I jump in it every time. Sometimes it's overrated. It's like big stuff for an educated guy like me. Like I can impress someone with that term, but it means absolutely nothing. I mean, Lindell, you'll know this. That would be like saying a Caucasian never gets sickle cell anemia. That's exactly right. That's an accurate statement. You can't explain why. But our system's immune to that. So non-alcoholics never get the allergy. But I will tell you this much. I could have alcoholism, and if I never, ever, ever put alcohol in my body, I wouldn't know it. I might just be an outright mental defect. So I don't want to cause no trouble, Eric. I like your big book study, but I'm sitting over here thinking about, praise the Lord. Well, goddamn it, go to church. Why do you keep coming to meetings? This is for people who can't access the power without each other. And in the back of the book, in the medical view, it talks about two of man's greatest reservoirs, God and the herd instinct. I need you guys, maybe even more than I need God. But in the meantime, I'll just keep coming back.
All right, Bill. Well, thank you so much. Rose, come on in.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rose. I'm an alcoholic, and I've loved the shares so far, as always. I'm really excited for this series here. I'm learning so much. I'm 114 days sober today, and so I'm pretty close by with you there, Carlo. I'm pretty new to all of this too. Yeah, for me, coming into the rooms of AA, I really wasn't convinced at first that I am an alcoholic because my drinking career was maybe about 2 years or so, you know? And then during that time, there was half the time where I was more addicted to weed than I was to alcohol, but I was actually using weed in order to avoid the alcohol. Like I was just, coming up with different ways to try and manage my life, but I was still behaving alcoholically with weed, right? So, I mean, and when I read the doctor's opinion, and so reading the doctor's opinion and then listening to the Joe and Charlie tapes as well and how they describe the allergy, and something started to click for me. And I started to recognize that, I did not pick up my first drink until I was 30. Okay. Up until the age of 30, though, I was still an alcoholic. I still had the disease and I still had the mental obsession. And it played out in different ways. When I look back at my life right now and there's some resentments and stuff that I have to work on, and like the way that I tackled them, I was behaving just like any of you, with or without alcohol, right? And so that behavior, and that's been different all my life compared to any other person who's not an alcoholic. People who drink normally, I can't relate to them. I have a few girlfriends, I went out to dinner with them when I started drinking, and I was excited that, I can start drinking with you, and they order dinner and they don't order the drinks, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, I came here to drink, like, why are there no drinks here? And then afterwards I went out and drank, right? So that's just all I really wanted to share, is that like that mental obsession piece is different, and it's always been there. And the alcohol, when it entered my body, it triggered the craving, and then it made it that much harder for me to put down the drink. So that was just something that I've reflected on. Thanks for letting me share.
Oh, you bet, Rose. That's amazing. How many days? 120, did you say? 120?
114.
114, I got a little ahead of myself, but you're going to get that 120. I know it. That's amazing. That's awesome. Please just stick and stay with us. Hey, Mary in Fort Myers, come on in.
Hi, Mary, an alcoholic. This was a beautiful meeting. I'm so glad Tony told me about it. And but what Lisa said and what Pamela said was so worth me showing up for. I began in AA 18 and a half years ago. And because I talked about drugs at a meeting, some guy said to me, you know, you ought to go to NA instead of here. And I never questioned it. I went to NA. So my foundation was 3 years over there, and I will never talk against. I mean, it worked for me until I felt like I needed more stability in AA. So that was the difference. Anyway, I don't need to talk about drugs because they were part of my story, but I do mention that it was a side effect of my drinking. I never got up and said, what a good day to take 20 Vicodin and some cocaine and Xanax at the end of the night with a bottle of NyQuil. That only came to me once I drank. Once I drank, I had a friend who used to drink and rob banks. I had another guy who used to drink and beat his wife. My side effect was drugs. I mean, that was the worst thing. I'd get drunk, and then I started wanting something to keep me up or to put me to sleep or sideways. It didn't matter. So I really could relate to what they said. I don't need to glorify it, but it was because, and it is because I'm an alcoholic that I did these other things that I wouldn't have normally done. So I really appreciate the meeting. Thanks for letting me share.
You got it, Mary. Summer, we end at 9, so we got 2 shares left. We're going to go with Babe and Sean. Babe, come on in, brother.
Hey, kids, baby alcoholic. Yeah, the clock in the corner is my new higher power. But yeah, well, y'all know I'm weird. I did not like the fellowship. I walked into Alcoholics Anonymous absolutely crushed, never thinking I was never gonna laugh, probably never even going to smile. Knew nothing about Alcoholics Anonymous. And the first meeting, all I heard was, I get up every day with untreated alcoholism. It's doing push-ups at the foot of my bed. And they never even, all I knew of AA worldwide was Monday night and only in New York at 8 o'clock. I didn't know there was more of us. I knew nothing about Alcoholics Anonymous. And so I was done drinking. I didn't get much out of that meeting. I didn't like the fellowship at all. I didn't need to learn how to be miserable. I was already miserable. But I came back the next week, and big Native American guy whacks me in the arm. He's hitting me with a big book. He says, you want to get sober? Read this. I read that book 3 times between my second meeting and my third meeting. That book came alive. The Doctor's Opinion. This explains so much. You know, I would drink every single night. I drank until I either blacked out, passed out, got knocked out, or ran out. And it was the only life I knew. I figured this guy went to medical school to learn that the only life I know is the one I got. Duh, that's rocket science, Silky. It's so true. And when I found out that I have this and it only occurs in alcoholics, I was absolutely thrilled to find out what was wrong with me. You know, we had to fully concede, and most of us don't want to do this. I was tickled pink. Why do we need the rest of the book? Just don't drink and life will be all butterflies and blowjobs. But that ain't the way it works. But I read this book and it came to life, and my home group and my sponsors were a Joe and Charlie meeting for the first 10 years of my recovery. This book does come alive, despite our best efforts. Thanks, kids.
Thanks, babe. Brother Sean, good to see you, man. Come on in, pal. Sean, you there? You look like you're frozen. I don't know if you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. Sean? Oh, man. Oh, that's a bummer. That is a bummer. Let's give it a couple more seconds here. I'm hoping he can come around. Oh, all right. That's it. All right, guys. Well, we are at the hour. It's 9:01. We've gone a minute over, and it's a bummer we didn't get hear from Sean. He's got a phenomenal message. So I want to thank everybody for this meeting tonight. And There was a couple of people that I need to thank, but before that, is there anybody here tonight who's got their big book with them that's willing to read page 164? Lisa, Lindell, would you do the Lord's Prayer? Perfect. Give me 1 second and we'll go right over to Lisa. I like to thank these people at the end of every meeting and every meeting at the Walk to Walk, because without these folks, I don't know what AA would look like or if it would even exist. So I want to thank Dr. Carl Yum, William Silkworth, Sam Shoemaker, Frank Buckman for the Oxford Group, Roland Hazard, Ebby Thatcher, Bill and Lois Wilson, Henrietta Cyberling, Dr. Bob and Ann Smith, Sister Ignatia, Bill Dotson, Hank Parkhurst, Jim Burwell, Fitz Mayo, Folston Alster, he's the editor of the Liberty Magazine, John D. Rockefeller Jr. and Jack Alexander, the Saturday Evening Post. And let us remember as we go out from here that the only time we look down on another alcoholic is when we are going to reach down and help lift them up. And with that, I'm going to head on over to Lisa.
Lisa, alcoholic, thanks for letting me be of service. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously, you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Brother Lindell, if you wouldn't mind, sir.
Yes. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you all. I appreciate all of you guys. That was fun.
Thank you for your service. Sorry I'm bad at muting myself.
No, it's
Great
Great
Thank
meeting.
you guys.
Thank
This was
you.
fantastic. Thank you very much. Good to see everybody. Mary, I got your thing and I'll be reaching out to you. Have a good
I
one,
love
guys.
you, family. So good to see you.
I'm back at you.
Thank you all.
Have a good night.
Thanks, kids. And I'm glad to see Pamela here. She makes me sound calm.
So glad you guys are here. I
Awesome.
appreciate all of you.
See you.
Yeah.
Good night,
Great
everybody.
meeting.
Good night,
Meeting,
kids.
everyone.
Good night, Jen.
Good
Good night, guys.
Good
Thank
to be
you.
here.
You bet,
Thank you
Jen.
so
Thank you.
much. What an awesome
Drive home safe.
Thank
Y'all be
you.
safe.
Great job, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. Excellent. It's just going to get better and better.
I hope
Love
so.
it.
Shawnee
Love
B,
it.
sorry, man. You cut out there. You were frozen for a bit. You okay?
Yeah, man. I don't know what happened. It locked up on me when Pam was speaking, who I really wanted to hear. And then right when the guy was almost done, it locked up again. So,
yeah. Hey, what did you want to share? Hit us with it. What you got?
oh man, I was just going to touch on the frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices, because you know how many years I was hanging around like 20, 25 before I even knew what that meant, to me, it sounded like a drink you would get from Starbucks, I mean, but then when Pat T explained it to me, he was like, yeah, Sean, you know what that is? It's all those jobs you lost. It's that son you wanted to show up for. It's, all them DUIs you got and all that jail time you spent and all that time you trying to fix your life on your power because, obviously you're losing relationships, you're destroying relationships, you're not doing shit, but you're doing nothing but causing problems, and you think you should be able to common sense kind of fix it all, right? Like, okay, this is obvious, there's a problem, how come I can't stop? So that that whole frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices. Really, I really relate to. The doctor told me I was going to die if I had another drink, and I almost did, man, but I kept drinking. You know, the point, the message of that can interest and hold these alcoholic people must have depth and weight. You know, Eric, if you're going to help me, you got to come with depth and weight, man. And I didn't know what is depth and weight, man. That's knowledge and experience. You got to come from where I come from, one alcoholic helping another, you know, because you've been where I've been, and I know we share a lot of the same, you know, anger issues, and you know, it's like my life is still just as messy as drinking and using as it is sober when I'm untreated, you know. And it says in nearly all cases, their ideals must be grounded in a power greater than themselves if they are to recreate their lives. I mean, I need a relationship with God, and I don't even know why. I don't even know what that looks like. I don't know if he's going to show up, and I need you guys to show me like, I mean, I'm gonna learn by watching you, like you with the guy with the unicorn, right? Like, I mean, dude, it's like, you know.
I do. I get it. That's awesome sharing, man.
Wow. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry everybody missed that, man. That was
I know, me too.
But guess what? I didn't kill the recording, so it's going to be on the recording. People are going to pick it up if they hang in there.
I just wanted to comment. Nobody commented on Dr. Selkworth's lack of ego and how right-sized he is as a physician. And I work with a lot of physicians who are so ego because they think they're God.
Yeah.
And Silky was, you know, he is just the most humbled physician I have ever heard anything from.
Glad you said that, Joanne, because I was thinking that too. And I was, when it was being read, all the physicians I've worked with, and a handful were really teachers and academicians, and he fell into that really small because they want their name on everything.
They think they're God.
Yeah, he had a sense of humanity, you know.
Very humble.
All right.
I think there's a book that I have a picture of him, so it's so cool to